Welcome to another episode. In this today, I talked with Uma, who is a software engineer at Netflix, and it was a very interesting conversation. We talked about his journey into tech, but also about engineering challenges and how he got into tech, but also like the kind of problems that he's currently working on at Netflix. It was overall a very nice conversation. So I hope you enjoyed that. Drop a comment for any part that you've enjoyed, and if you also have any question for Uma, drop it in the comment section. You can go follow him too. The link is right in the description. All right, let's get into it. How are you?
My name is Uma. I am currently a software engineer at Netflix. I am also a content creator, so I make videos about programming, anything I find interesting as it relates to technical topics. I make videos about it, teaching, educating. I also make some non-technical videos about just the experiences of being a software engineer, be it career growth, be it promotions, be it navigating, moving from one company to another. Um, Yeah, I'm also a co-founder of a company called
Okay.
Kind of
Okay.
Kind Short for Candid Conversations that open career doors. And the main idea is just to connect people from underrepresented backgrounds with people in their dream jobs. So I, for example, a software engineer at Netflix, want to find a way to give back to people from underrepresented backgrounds, and people from those backgrounds can come and book a call with me for free to essentially ask questions that they have about being a software engineer at Netflix, or just being a software engineer in general. So, yeah, that's the high level. Prior to Netflix, I was at Microsoft for around 4.5, 5 years, and
Nice.
yeah, based out of Seattle, originally from Nigeria.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I think a lot of people that is very interesting. I think a lot of people that watch my videos are like that follow me. I would say that sounds cringy. Does that sound like that?
It took a while for I had to hire a coach to teach me how to be an internet person because I
Why is
never
it?
saw myself as that. And so it used to sound cringy, but now I'm just like, it's part of the trade. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably get to that at some point, like what it's like to make content and that other side of things. But
Hmm.
yeah, for most people that follow me, they have a bunch of them are from underrepresented backgrounds, but like a bunch of them are from Nigeria.
Hmm.
And I think it's the same thing for me that they see that, oh, this guy from Nigeria is now working for a tech company and it's like, "Pah, like, how can I do that?
Hmm.
So I'm curious what your journey is like. How did you get to where you are currently?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off in college. I started off studying aerospace engineering when I was in college at Iowa State University. And 3 years in, I switched to software for a few reasons. One, I was slightly bored of aerospace. It was interesting, but it wasn't practical. Like the day to day didn't excite me, but the
Yeah.
general, you know, high level or the exciting rockets and stuff like that, it was super exciting. And so once I looked past that, I realized it wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so I've switched to a major, something that wouldn't bore me, something that could continually excite me, something that I could just keep going over and over and over and over again. And then, yeah, I ended up switching to software and did a few internships here and there, did a few, worked for free a few times, just the whole grind all the way up to like got my first internship. And then from there, the rest is history. I started my career in Microsoft right
Yes.
after doing a few internships, and yeah, I worked in. I started with networking automation, and then
Okay.
eventually moved to Substrate. So Substrate is the data layer for Office 365,
I see.
which is basically Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive. If you've interacted with any of those stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, your data lives in Substrate. And so, um, yeah, earlier this year, decided it was time, and an opportunity presented itself for me to move to Netflix, and I took that opportunity. So that's a
Okay.
very condensed version of how I got to where I am.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna start taking notes on like follow-up questions to ask for some of the things that you've mentioned. But
Hmm.
the first thing that I was gonna ask about, I was thinking about it actually early yesterday morning. Like when I woke up, that was one of the thoughts that came to my mind,
Hmm.
which is about like working for free. And I
Yeah.
know it's so random. If you go to Twitter, and also considering like if you go to Twitter, and I know this is very common with Nigerian Twitter, where a lot of people are like a lot of employers, startup founders want you to work for free, and then they're like, oh, you will gain experience, and they're trying to help you and all of that. What do you think about working for free? Like, looking back, what do you think about working for free? And people that are probably just getting their foot into tech and are trying to. I think it's hard to get jobs now. What do you think? Generally, what do you think about working for free for a while?
So there's two ways to look at it, right? From the business perspective, right? If I
Yeah.
own a business, for example, then on my side, it is exploitative to have people work for me for free, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't have the budget and someone is coming to say, which is the other side, which is someone who needs the experience, they're
Mm-hmm.
coming to say, hey, I need a job, right? Ideally, if I had the budget, I would hire you, but I'm telling you, I don't have the budget. I don't have the money to pay you. And you're like, listen, the money is not what I want, right? I want the experience. Then it makes sense for you to kind of do it because it's less of working on free and more of like the way I thought about it was more of an investment, right? If I want to get paid to do this type of job, if I want to get paid um, to be in this industry, then I
Mm-hmm.
know I need experience, and it's hard to get experience if I don't do the work. And so, right, it for me, it all depended on what I was trying to get from it. I have a podcast with my co-host, and we just had an episode with another person who he does networking security, and he also stated how when he started, he worked for free because he
Mm.
needed that experience. Right, that's
Yeah.
the way you get your foot through the door. So, on the way I think about it is, I try to look at it from both sides. Right, if it's truly what you want and you have an intrinsic motivation,
Yeah.
then you kind of have to do it. But on the company side, I typically am not an advocate for it because that is exploitative labor.
I think I agree with that. Like, I also worked for free. I think it's a general, it's a common thing to work for free.
Hmm.
Um, Now I would always advocate. I mean, I would advocate that, especially if I'm talking to employers,
Hmm.
try to pay people something.
Oh,
Like you said,
absolutely.
you're like exploiting people if you are like, oh, gain experience. I'm doing it for your betterment. Like, but for people that are trying to get experience, I would say
Mhm.
know for a fact that you're getting exploited.
Mm.
But
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
absolutely. It's just you're just okay with being exploited because
exactly,
you're getting something from it, right? It's exploitative, but in I don't know. Even thinking about it now, I'm not sure if exploitative is the right word, but it's kind of like a trade by barter, right? Like they're giving you exposure to this
yeah.
thing for you to then put on your resume, and then on the other hand, yes, typically, what you're giving them is then, your work and your time and your effort.
Hmm.
But obviously, there's strategic ways to do it. You don't want to do it for a long time, right? Ideally, after you've gained some value, maybe 3 months, 6 months, and you can then make a case for you to go get paid. And then if they don't have that, then at least you've not had the experience for 3 and 6 months, and you then go use it to find somewhere that'll actually pay you, right? So it's more of a chess move than anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I would probably agree with that. Like,
Hmm.
also because I did that. Uh, and I think it's also like, it depends on the stage that you are. When I
Hmm.
was learning coding, like, I was still getting allowance from home. So I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, I could work for free while doing this. But if it's like you graduate and it's a firm that could pay you,
Yeah.
right, and they
Yeah.
are not paying you, then there is obviously a problem with that. And
1,000%. Yeah.
yeah,
If
yeah,
if you look on their website and they have job openings for your role, and then
yeah,
you go there and then they're like, "Nah, I don't pay you," then obviously there's a huge problem with that. Yeah.
yeah. That makes sense. The next thing I was going to ask about was you said you moved recently to Netflix.
Yes.
At what point, what made you decide to move? Or let's say, for example, I'm currently at Asana and I've been working for 2+ years. What would want to make me move, right?
Hmm.
Why would I say it's time to move? Like, for you, what was that thing that was like, oh, I need to move, I need to change something?
That's a good question. So to answer it, I want to kind of give a little bit of history. So when I joined Microsoft, I was doing networking automation, and at that point in time, I just joined. I was working at a company I was just grateful to be writing code at
So
Microsoft and
just
getting
get a
paid.
job, yeah.
Exactly, right. And so I was doing that, and then I got promoted a couple of times, and then I realized, okay, I was writing code, but there was ways that I could be doing things better,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't really a place that I could grow in that I was one of the very few software engineers on in the whole org. And so I was kind of like the one setting the standard for how things should run straight out of college, which was good at the time. But at the same time, I'm like, there's still so much that I don't know. And this is not a space for me to be learning it. Right. And so fast forward 2.5 years, I then moved to a different team that was slightly better, but still not as good, right? And so before I joined Netflix, I was that was when I joined Substrate, right? At some point in time, I joined Substrate, and Substrate is the data layer for Office 365. So as you can imagine, it's it's the biggest data organization in the world,
Yeah,
right? There's standards for how to do things. There's all that stuff, and so when I was a Substrate, I was learning, like I was just absorbing as much information as I could, working on files APIs to ingest files from
yeah. Mm-hmm.
where, doing all these things, working with APIs that handled over millions of requests per second across multiple nodes. Like, that's
Yeah,
where you started working with like distributed systems,
yeah,
distributed
yeah.
systems,
Working at a large scale.
large scale stuff, right? That's the type of thing that I wanted to do. And so while I was then there, I was working, I was learning, and then I went to Afrotech, which is a conference in the US here.
Yeah, yeah.
While I was there, a friend of mine had reached out and was like, "Hey, I'll be at Afrotech. You should come and talk to us." Like he worked at Netflix, and
I gotcha.
I was like, "I'm not sure if I want to spend that $400 just to go talk to one company." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, just come and talk to us." I was like, "Okay, sure." So I went, spoke to him, spoke to a few engineers there, told them about the work I was doing in the distributed systems and
Mm-hmm.
type of problems I was solving, and they were like, "Oh yeah, like this is great, right?" And if you've been to these events, they say either, we'll be in touch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had recently just joined Substrate. I think I wasn't even a year into Substrate, so I wasn't really looking. And then after the convention, he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, go find some, roles that you think match your background and apply to it." And I was like, "I've applied to Netflix 1,000 times every time."
Yeah.
He's like, "Trust me, just go do it this time." And then I did, and the recruiter reached out, and we had a conversation, and she was like, "Did you talk to our people at Netflix?" I was like, "Oh, I actually did." She was like, "How was the conversation?" I said, "Great, it was pretty good." And she was like, "They spoke very highly of you." So I spoke to him, and I spoke to like a few hiring managers there, and more than one person said really good thing about me in the back end. And so um, the rest is history. I love doing technical interviews, and so like,
Interesting.
yeah, really all I needed have was just to kind of like get a good match with a team. And
Yeah.
so I say all that to say, the move from my first role to my next one was solely based on there's a lot that I don't know. I
Okay.
am making impact and I'm doing stuff, but there's still a lot that I don't know. And this is not the right place for me to learn that. And then the move to Substrate it was more of like an organizational thing where I
Yeah.
saw that the work that my team was doing was good, but business processes could still go on without it.
I see.
So in the case of a layoff, which actually did happen the day I chose to
Oh,
leave,
jeez.
yeah, the day I chose to leave, they basically did some reorg, some restructuring, moved some people.
Crazy.
Luckily, I was saved, but I told them I was going to leave that day
Yeah,
anyway. They were
yeah.
like, "All good." And so, the move to Substrate was just on, "Hey, I need to be working on way more complicated problems,
Yeah.
right? I'm like what 4.5 years into my career,
Yeah.
like this cannot be the peak of the stuff that I'm doing." And so, to Netflix was a slew of things. First was it was the right timing and the right opportunity. I
I see.
wasn't looking for it; it
Yeah.
just came to me. And on the other side of it is um, just from a compensation and from a career perspective, right? From a
Yeah.
compensation perspective, nobody's going to pay you more money than Netflix does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, from a career perspective, Netflix works on some of the hardest problems in the space, and the way they do it, like they set the standard, they set the bar, and I was like, it doesn't make sense to like knowing how passionate I am about software engineering. It was the next logical move. So it was a slew of things that kind of like motivated my decisions to move. But yeah, ultimately it was just wanting more and wanting better for myself.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with. I mean, I've not worked at Netflix, but
Mhm.
I read Netflix Eng blog, and I'm like it makes me want to. So I started like working on Asana Eng blog. Like I
Mhm.
started becoming like trying to get people to publish articles. And it was because of Netflix Eng blog,
Mhm.
because I see the kind of problems. I'm like, Crazy. Like,
it's like some of the wildest, like I think just because of the way the culture is, like they
yeah,
hire people who are intrinsically motivated to do it,
I
pay
see.
them whatever money they want, and they just
Yeah,
let them go be free, right? And so it's just everyone who doesn't necessarily see their job as a job,
I
right?
see.
Like, and so they're just you're working with some of the smartest people solving the most interesting problems. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, so yeah, it's an amazing place to work at for
I
sure.
see. Yeah, I mean, tell me a little bit more about that. Like, sell
Mhm.
Netflix to me,
Sell
which is
Netflix to you.
sell. And the part that I'm really very interested in is the
Mhm.
engineering culture. Like,
The
usually a
engineering
lot
part.
of recruiters reach out to me, right?
Mhm.
And they're like, "Oh, we want you to interview for our role." And usually, what I always ask is, I mean, obviously, you have to pay me, if not what I currently earn,
Yeah,
like
probably
more
more
than
than
what
yeah.
like that is obviously no brainer.
Mhm.
And the next thing that I'm usually very interested in is like what is the engineering culture? Because I like hard problems. Like
Mhm.
I like problems that you just throw me into, and I'm hating my life. I
Mhm.
hate that I'm like I hate my life, but I love do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I completely understand what you mean. Yeah,
do you
so
get so yeah,
yeah,
tell me about that.
at Netflix, I think the work is kind of like so that culture, that engineering culture starts from the people. So
Okay.
Netflix doesn't have rules, right? Like there's no set procedure for how to do this, no set procedure for how to do that. The main culture rule is just work in Netflix's best interest. And
Interesting.
they're not afraid to cut people off as soon as possible, and they're not afraid
Crazy.
to hire people and then just do stuff.
Okay.
So with that, you then end up with people who, like I said earlier, are intrinsically motivated and are passionate at what they do. If Netflix is going to hire you, rather, if Netflix is looking for someone who has experience with security in mobile devices as it relates to iOS and packages, and so they will find someone
Mm,
who has mobile development, like very, very specific, right?
yeah,
So whoever they hire for what they do is so it's like that's their bread and
I see.
butter. Now you
They
have a
hire for depth rather than for like bread.
exactly
Okay.
yes, they hire for depth.
Okay.
So now you now have a team of people who are really good at what they do, like in depth, like our whole deployment system, for example you don't even have to think about it. Like there's not
Yeah.
like a lot of things are abstracted for you and they're done by people who are so good at what they do that
Hmm.
the only thing left is just to solve problems, right? And with that solving problem is like you go find the problems to solve, right?
Oh,
There's
interesting.
there's like a roadmap for where the company wants to go, but
Yeah.
it's ultimately then left on you to go say, how can I make impact within this space, right?
Interesting.
Like with ads, for example, right? How can I make the ads experience better? So you
Yeah,
go
yeah,
work with
yeah,
this person, and then so it's just that engineering culture where the answer is usually never no. It's always how do we figure it out? And there's a lot of peculiar situations where you're working with some really really smart people who are coming with these. Hey, this is what we want to do, and it's just like all right, let's figure out a way to do it. Um, yeah, and like as you said, the money is like the pay rather the compensation. I'll
The
put it that
comp,
way
yeah, the comp is good. Yeah.
you don't even think about it, right?
Yeah.
To be transparent, it was hard for me to even negotiate my offer because I'm like, well,
I mean,
what else do I
considering
want
that
to
you
ask for?
preach negotiation on your page, like,
I do, and so I think at that point in time, like the only negotiation I could did, I actually did was just you need to pay me more because you want me because I am that guy, right? There wasn't
yeah,
any. I really couldn't go use. Oh, this is what the market is paying because they already pay top of the market,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's typically how Netflix operates. And so yeah, when you have that environment where everybody loves what they do and they're really good at it, then
Hmm.
that's why you end up with a product like Netflix where like the experience is just different, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody wants to half-ass anything. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, Netflix is currently open on my
Yeah.
on my TV. But
Yeah.
yeah, you were talking about like the problems that people work on. I'm curious. So, like, I work at a tech company, and I'm trying
Mhm.
to understand how it's different from like from company to company.
Mhm.
I have a friend that works at Amazon too, and it's
Mhm.
like when you want to get maybe when you get to senior level,
Mhm.
like do you have to come up with a problem to solve, or what are your teams like? Like yeah, what let's start with what are your teams like, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's teams in like different domains, right? There's teams for like playback, there's teams for content engineering, there's teams for identity, there's
Mm-hmm.
teams for security, there's teams for data stores, there's teams for deployment. So basically, there's a lot of teams for a lot of things, right? And so when you then get to senior, some of it is all right. Your services are great, but you need to then start identifying bottlenecks or places that can make it even better, because you
I
don't
see.
want when there's a fight happening like the one that happened yesterday, Crowd versus Canelo,
Oh,
then you
yeah.
realize that your
Yeah,
service
yeah, yeah,
has this issue because there's what millions
yeah,
of people watching, right? And so yeah, that's typically what I mean by going to like identify those problems, right? Like
I
you're
see.
being proactive, and sometimes some of those stuff come to you from different teams. Like the ads team is trying to do something and they need your help and they need
Yeah, yeah.
support for like this thing. So yeah, for the most part, it's kind of like you can't coast, if
Okay.
that makes sense. Typically,
Yeah, yeah.
in other places, you find like one low key team that's not doing much, and you
Yeah,
just rest and vest. You rest
yeah.
while you're stuck first, but
Rest.
rest and vest. But at Netflix, it's kind of like everybody is like, all right, let me go find something to
Yeah,
solve
yeah.
that'll work in Netflix's best interest, right?
I
Like,
see.
there's certain rules on how managers are trained to rate people, not rate, but like they ask themselves two questions about you,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. The first is knowing what they know about you now, would they still hire you?
Interesting.
And the second question is, if you were to leave, would they fight to keep you?
Oh yeah, yeah, I think I've read that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've read that somewhere. Like I've read on one of the articles. Yeah, I've read
Yeah,
that somewhere.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And so if the answer to any of those questions is no, then you're not ideally right for Netflix at that point in
I
time,
see.
right? And they don't operate like a family. They operate as a professional sports team where they expect everyone to play their role and play it absolutely well. So yeah.
I see. I see. That's very nice. I think I probably read it like this there's this newsletter,
Mhm.
Pragmatic Engineer. I think
Mhm.
that's the newsletter. And he writes about like into something engineering culture,
Mhm.
like keep looking into Microsoft culture, Netflix culture, that kind of thing. That makes sense. Talking about how you work at Netflix, or like just generally, like even outside of work, what is your use of AI like? Do you use AI for like brainstorming or like what is the culture like up to what you can share anyways?
Yeah. So yeah, no, I can share a lot.
Yeah.
Um, we are encouraged to very very encouraged to use AI, but
Yeah.
obviously you have to use it in a responsible way, right?
Okay.
At the end of the day, your name is still the one on that pull request. So if something hits the fan, it's
Mm.
it's it's you, right? It's
Yeah.
it's it's you that'll come for. But there's still a lot of stuff that AI can help you do, and it'll
Okay.
help you do it way faster. That you don't necessarily even have to like. If you have an idea of what you want to do, you don't
Yeah.
have to be the one to do it, right?
Okay.
You can use cloud code. You can use literally. It's so free that I can go create my own AI coding tool and start using it, right? Like obviously
Interesting.
you basically have to get it passed through
Yeah, yeah,
the
review and all of
review
that.
and all that
Yeah.
stuff, but like they basically encourage it so much because yeah, at this point in time it's like you know the system, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you just tell the thing what to do, tell it how to do it, and then with tests too, right? Like you never wanted to just write tests based on vibes, right? You come up with the test cases, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Say this is what you want to test, and it goes and does all the complicated mocks and then do all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. So
That's it.
yeah, and in my personal life with the videos that I make, yeah, I use a lot of AI where I basically just brain dump and say, okay, this is what I want to say, this is
Mm-hmm.
how I want to say it, these are like the main points,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
how I want to end this the part, and then I would just put it into. At first, I used to use a lot of ChatGPT, but now I use Cloud because Cloud is so much better at writing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll put it in there and then tell it to give me, and then I would pick and choose which parts work well, because sometimes there are certain terminologies that I want to use, but I can't come up with them on the spot. But that's what it's
Yeah,
great for. So I have this prompt that's like 3 paragraphs long. That's kind of like there to just fine tune the script to sound
yeah.
how I
Yeah.
want it to sound,
I see.
based on my own outline. So that's typically the extent of my AI use right now.
I see. What are some of the things as an engineer? What are some of the things that you will say that AI is doing very well? And because I mean, if you get to a certain level or in
Mhm.
your career, at least currently, when people ask me, I'm like, I'm at this stage where I'm not very bothered that AI is gonna take my job yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like because it's not doing some things like the way I would do it,
Mm-hmm.
like or the way it's expected. Like when you get to some level, you're just like, but what do you think about it? Are there some things that you're like AI does very well, and some things that you're like, my job is still safe?
Um, in terms of architecting, in terms of figuring out where things should go and why they should go there, it's just going based on patterns, right? So if you give it full access to your code base
Yeah,
or your whole or like your whole GitHub repo, right? Say you use like an MCP, and then
yeah,
it has access to that stuff, and it can go and pull context from here, pull context from there. Then
hmm
it's really really good, right? That's where it becomes good. Um, Otherwise, if you don't know, like if you're relying on it for direction, then it's not good, right? That's where you and you being an engineer has to give it the direction. The way I think about it is, I also don't see it replacing. I see it more like the thing that you would spend however much time thinking through to say, okay, I have to go make this change here. Man,
yeah,
where else do I need to go make this change? Right? It's kind of like it just takes away so much of that. Like I don't want to call it unnecessary mental power. It's right. You know what you need to do.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just don't have to be the one to go do it,
I
right?
see. Yeah.
And so it's less of a worry of it taking my job and more me realizing that I could be working smarter. I could be working way more efficiently, right? I have this change that ideally could take like on the sprint board.
Yeah,
It's listed for a week.
yeah,
If I do it properly with AI, like if I know what needs to get done, I can get it done in a day or 2 days and then rest or spend my time to do something else or pick up extra work, right?
yeah. hmm
So it's more of like working more efficiently than it replacing your job. And if you then use AI agents, meaning even
Yeah,
within cloud, you could have different agents to go
yeah,
work on
yeah, yeah.
different things within like different repos, like they can create
hmm
branches to do stuff. Then,
Yeah,
that's where it's the extreme, the where like I know some software engineers Netflix right now who do not write code, right? They just
interesting.
create specs, right?
Yeah,
In markdown files, they create specs of everything they want, how they want it
yeah,
specifically,
yeah,
and then they just let the agents do it, and then they just review it after. So it's just more working. It's just working more efficiently and less of it taking your job. And again, we as software engineers, we use a lot of our brain power,
yeah.
a ton and a ton and a ton of brain power, right?
hmm
And if AI can do some of that for you, why not offload that work? It's no different from a senior engineer saying, I know how to do this thing. Me doing it again isn't going to add to my knowledge. It's not going to add anything to
Mm,
me. So let something that can
something
do it
else.
way
Yeah,
better and way faster handle it for me.
yeah, and I think that in my experience, AI excels more when you're specific about what you want them to do,
Exactly.
right? And for that, you need to know what needs to happen, right? And
Exactly.
AI is also like good in with pattern matching. Why
Mhm.
this, which is why it's like I don't think any engineer likes writing tests. We know we
Mhm.
know it's important to write tests. It was like
Yeah.
FMI, I don't want to write tests.
Yeah.
And tests like they have a pattern. So when you write a piece of code, you understand what you've written, and just like I want to test for this. These are the things that I want to test. Take
Exactly.
the mock. There's already a structure of how we write tests, and
Exactly.
try to use that. And I just review that, make sure that you're not cutting corners and
Exactly.
you're doing what you're supposed
Yeah.
to do. So yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, I guess. What do you think about like the future of AI? Do you think things are going to get because I know we've from like last year or like 2 years ago till now, there has been that exponential growth of like because we put more data, we trained with more machine, more power, we
Mhm.
got more things, and there was that exponential growth of the kind of things that we have. What do you think that is going to continue? I don't know if you're expert in that world, but
Mhm.
just like an opinion about like what you read in the market, like just generally.
I think I think we're at a point now where it's starting to plateau,
Mm,
where just because we put more into it, that doesn't mean we'll gain more,
yeah,
right? Compared to when, ChatGPT first came out and we're like, man, this thing can like generate code. Or like, oh,
yeah,
absolutely great. All right. The next is like it can then solve problems, right? You can ask it for code for this. And then we then went into well, basically at the same time when tools like Bolt,
Yeah, yeah,
Replit,
yeah.
Lovable, right, came out with cloud, all these AI agents, GitHub
Mm-hmm.
Copilot, and all that stuff, right? Now they're like they can now build applications for you, right? Granted, the applications they work. Let's just put it that way, right? But
Yeah,
if you want anything more, like anything extra, anything more complicated in that space is automatically a no go because I have so many opinions on that. But
yeah,
I think we're at the point where it's going to start to plateau, where us doing more and adding more
yeah,
isn't going to give us more because the next logical step is AGI. And I don't think any model or any company has cracked it yet.
yeah.
I don't think we will get there. And even if, nah, I don't think we'll, I really don't think we'll get there. But again, I
Yeah.
could be wrong. That's just my,
But yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, that is I when people ask me about this, I'm usually like, I mean, if you're a CEO of OpenAI or of an AI company, obviously you're gonna say that
Oh, yeah.
like that's a marketing speak.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you want your
exactly.
stock
Marketing.
to go up, right?
Yeah,
Like so obviously you say that AGI is 1 year from now, that kind
yeah.
of thing. But I'm saying, but I say that number one is like obviously nobody knows, but also based on the progress that I've seen so far,
Hmm.
if you check like from GPT 4 to whatever the one that they just released, tech,
Hmm.
I'm not saying that growth again. Like even though
Yeah.
we are pouring more power and we have more investment now, we are putting in more GPU. I am not seeing it, right?
There's like I think we're just hitting this sticking point, right? It's
Yeah,
like it's kind of like from iPhone, 6 and 7, then 8, and
yeah,
we then go to X, right? Then once we go to iPhone 10, then
yeah,
11, then 12, and then all of a sudden we're now at 17, where 17 isn't that much different from 16, and then
yeah,
16 isn't that much different from, I don't think it was 15 but 14, and
yeah,
yeah, we're just at a point where more resources isn't giving us more. But
yeah, yeah.
I think there'll be slight improvements here and there, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it'll get to the point where, you know, it can replace software engineers or, well, fully replace software engineers.
Fully, yeah, 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 yeah. Random icebreaker. Would you get the iPhone 17?
Probably not, man. Probably not. I
Oh,
am
do you even
currently,
use iPhone? I think that's the thing. Like, are you an iPhone fan or like
yes,
Google Pixel?
I am
Okay,
an
okay.
Apple guy. I currently have the 16 Pro Max. Prior to that, I had the 13 Pro Max.
I
And the
see.
only reason why I got the 16 Pro Max was because I had some money that I needed to spend on. It had to be spent on a phone.
Oh
And
God,
that's the only reason why I got it. Yeah.
that is so real. So I mean, I was gonna get the because I used the 14 Pro, and I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
I was just gonna get the 16 or the 17, and then
Mhm.
my girlfriend was like, why? Like your phone is. I'm like, because I can buy it. That is
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. Like in some
Because
way,
I
right?
can. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's for me, it's kind of like finding the balance where
Yeah.
I don't always want to buy it because I can, but I had some business expense that I
Yeah.
had to make. And I think it was like a deal that I was getting through one company. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah.
And they were like, you could, like, this money will go away or you can spend it
Yeah.
on a new 16 Pro Max. And I was like,
I see.
I'll just get the new
I was
phone.
just
But
yeah.
yeah, and then prior to the 13 Pro Max, I had the 10, right?
I
So
see.
I typically don't upgrade until the phone is broken or like until something is wrong because
Yeah.
yeah, like the improvements that you get, every year, it's not doing anything for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I watched the release. I'm not convinced that I'm gonna get the 17 again because it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah. At that
there
point
is
in time,
nothing there.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's also tricky because the hedonic treadmill can like can
yeah,
basically catch up to you,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like, yeah, there's really nothing there to be honest. Yeah, but like this is, I'm probably gonna segue into this, which is like
Hmm.
talking about your content.
Yeah.
I know you said there's the startup that you run where it's like you do the mentorship, but
Hmm.
I'm curious why you got into content generally and what we probably mentioned it a little bit what your content is about, but like talk a
Hmm.
little bit about that.
Yeah. So my content, I go by Uma Codes.
Yeah,
I
go
created
follow.
my yeah, I created my first Instagram. Well, I actually started with YouTube, and
Yeah.
this was December 2020.
Hmm.
After I graduated, I was in college. I was at home, sorry. Pandemic, till end of the pandemic, December. And I knew I wanted to do something more, but
Yeah.
I just didn't know what to do. I love to teach. I love to educate. I love figuring out how things work, and I
Mm-hmm.
love talking about technical stuff. And so my first take at that time was I had just gotten into Microsoft, but before that, I had failed so many technical interviews that I was like, I had failed them because I didn't care about them, and I didn't care about them because I was doing internships in smaller companies closer to where I was. I didn't care to get into the bigger companies, right? But at the time, I was an international student, and I knew that after graduation, I needed a company that would sponsor me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the
yeah.
smaller ones, they weren't being upfront about whether they would do it or not. But
I see.
I knew the bigger ones would, and they had like whole legal teams. And so I was like,
Yeah,
all right, let me lock in. And so
yeah.
I locked in, practiced, and the technical interview that I used to fail that I wasn't quite sure of, they then became what I love to do the most because again, it just went back to my nature, which is just enjoying the technical things. And
Yeah.
so I studied it so much and then, I basically fell in love with it. And my first YouTube video was basically solving a technical problem because like in reality it seems so hard, but once you understand the concepts, the recursion, the two-pointer thing, the
Yeah.
sliding window, the
There's like
dynamic
patterns.
programming,
Yeah, yeah.
all
I
those
don't know if you know.
patterns. And I
There's
was
like
like,
this whole course about patterns, and yeah.
and I was like, this is beautiful, man. Like, it doesn't get any more beautiful than this. And so I started making videos to teach that. And then over time, I realized, man, there's so many questions that I have about how software works in everyday life that
Yeah.
I want to make videos about. And then I started to do that. And I was like, why don't I then make shorter form videos about, programming and coding? And then I started to do that. And then I then at some point in time I was very, very technical. I'm very technical, but I basically try to balance it where
Yeah.
the technical things are what excite me. But when you're a brand and when you're a business, which it is, you have to balance certain things, right? So um yeah, now my content, like I basically have four pillars. There's pillars to be an authority in the space where I give my opinions and my takes on things.
Okay.
There's pillars to educate people, which is
Mm-hmm.
where I talk about like technical stuff.
Yeah.
There's pillars to be more personable because I found that people fall in love with you
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
less of the content. And so I now do that. And then the final one is pillars to sell. So I have courses, I have coaching programs,
Yeah.
right? When you're talking about a specific pain point, then people are more likely to engage with you. And so those videos do different things and they may not always get the views. It's never been about the views. It's more about the stuff. And so, yeah, that's my content journey so far. And then on the Uma Code side, yeah, it's now a business. I love teaching. I am making courses. I have coaching programs to coach people through technical interviews. And also on the professional side, where a lot of people talk a lot about, oh, I know this programming language. I know this programming language.
Yeah.
Great. So does a million other people. What have you done with it, right?
Yeah.
Or like how do we get you to communicate and to talk about the impact of your work?
Mm-hmm.
That happens on one aspect of the business as well. So yeah.
Okay. Interesting. What has been some of the biggest challenges with making content so far?
Um, the biggest challenges has been with making the content. So making the content itself is not super hard for me
Okay.
because I'm intrinsically motivated to do it.
Okay.
Right? Like I feel like I was talking to someone about this. I feel like this is my calling. Like that was my calling, right? Like when
Okay.
I write the videos, like I like there are only two times when I feel the way I do when I'm communicating and talking and teaching and explaining. And it's when I'm doing that and when I'm writing code and solving complicated problems with
Yeah.
code, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like it's not work to me. I can keep doing it over and over and over again. So the video itself is not necessarily the making the content is not hard. It's producing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that I want to say. There's a lot that I want to explain. There's a way I want it to come across, but I can't quite do that because I may not have the animation skills to create the graphics and illustrations to get that
I
done.
see. I see. Yeah.
So I can do a basic video animation, simple stuff, even above basic. But when you
Yeah.
now come to animation, like 3D effects, all that stuff,
Yeah.
the time that I would put into doing that is not worth it. And so I now have a team where I send it to my editor. My editor works with my animator. My animator works with the graphics person.
Okay.
They work and they send stuff to me, and I'm like, this was exactly what I had in mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I give them creative direction. Other times I say, you know what, it's
Go
better off
crazy.
exactly just go do what you think is best.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's been the most challenging aspect. But over time, it's just come to the place where the content just basically speaks for itself. It's basically gotten better every year, and that's how I've wanted it to be. Right, where you know there are times when I've put off making videos because I feel like with what I know right now, or with the team I have right now, we can't do it enough justice.
Yeah.
So I'll wait till I'm at a place where I can do it better. Or sometimes I'll create it and then come back and recreate it. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you see the future like for your content creation? I'm also just trying to take inspiration anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
From yeah,
So as of right now, I see myself continuing to make the content, but I want to make more depth content, right? If that makes sense. So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I can make a video about APIs, right?
Yeah.
That's great. But I want to make an in-depth course about gRPC, which is one form of
Yeah,
communication in
yeah,
APIs,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I see.
And so that's what I want to do. I'm actually working on this platform called the Code Room, where
Okay.
I have all the courses that I'll create, the ones that I
Mm-hmm.
have right now, and then the ones that I'll create.
Yeah.
I'll have not necessarily workshop, but programming challenges for people to do every week,
Okay.
every month, where they
Yeah.
work on a project at length and they learn something from it, right? Where if you're trying to learn this, then basically curate projects to work on that have specific outcome. There'll be office hours, there'll be a bunch of stuff in there, but essentially curated learnings for specific things as opposed to just being a generalist, right?
Yeah.
And I also want to teach the technical stuff, the complicated stuff, the
Yeah.
stuff that people are like, oh, this is like you use Kubernetes to manage
Yeah,
containers.
yeah. How does that work? Yeah.
How? Like,
Yeah,
let
like everybody. I mean, there was a time where Docker and Kubernetes were the thing, where everybody was like, and then people were talking about microservices, and then how you can use Docker, and it's like, yeah, and everybody was just like understanding how those things work,
doing it
like
in
how
practice.
we even got to Docker,
Exactly.
I think yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So yeah, my plan is to now start, like, I would still put out the content that I'm putting out, and then have like a place for premium content, for lack of a better way of putting
I
it,
see.
where there's way more directed stuff. And on the YouTube side, still kind of have it be a way that people connect to me personally, because
Okay.
I am a very private person. I don't like to put stuff out there, but
Yeah.
I had mentioned earlier in the call that I had hired someone to teach me how to be an internet person, because till
What
this
what
day,
what, what does an internet person mean?
an internet person means your people can relate to you,
Okay.
right? If I only make videos talking about database connections, then people don't know who Uma is. People know
Yeah.
who Uma Codes is, but they don't
Yeah.
know who Uma is, right?
Yeah.
And even as of right now, the creators that I love the most, the creators that I follow, I can connect to them on, not on a personal level, but I kind of know them beyond their content, or maybe they're sharing a specific part of themselves that is
Yeah.
related to the content, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to be a business, if you want to be a brand, you can't just talk about one thing only, right? I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. I spoke about my journey as an international student and how it was
Mhm.
hard for me to get internships,
Yeah.
but then because I love what I do so much, that passion spoke through, and companies that were rejecting me were they were basically making loopholes for me to get into their company and work for them.
I see.
And that
Yeah.
video blew up the most, right?
And you're
And
like,
in my,
bruh, I'm making hours talking about Kubernetes.
exactly,
Nobody's
like
watching.
I'm talking about the technical stuff that I enjoy doing, but that's
Yeah.
not what people can relate to, right? Because
Yeah.
if you talk about, so I basically hired someone. He was actually great. He taught me the personal aspect of things. He taught me the business aspect of things, and so yeah, the future is just basically balancing all of those across all the channels, but essentially using the content to drive towards this community that has a lot more value to offer.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you mean. Sometimes people just don't want to watch the technical content. They want to like I mean, that's the way the internet is. It's like people want to be like, oh yeah, you work at Netflix. What is it like to work at Netflix? Sure,
Yeah,
like I don't care what you're doing now. I just want to know like
exactly.
what is it like to work
Yeah,
at Netflix?
yeah,
But I'm like,
yeah.
I'm shy to record what it's like to work at Netflix.
Yeah, it's for me. It's less about being shy and just more about not like in some way you don't want it to be the brand that you put out, but
Yeah.
in other ways you want it to be the brand you put out, because
Yeah.
I don't know if you follow Ali Abdal. One of
Yeah.
the
I
things
follow
that
Ali.
he
Yeah. Yeah.
says, yeah, very well, is use your unfair advantages. Use your, yeah. So if like I got into Netflix, hell yeah, like I am going to talk about it, right?
Yeah. I'm going to milk that thing.
Exactly. I'm definitely going to milk it. There's this guy,
Yeah.
I think he's called the Prime Agent. I don't know if you've heard about him.
No, no, I've not.
Is it Prime Agent? Yeah, I think it's Prime Agent. He was a software engineer at Netflix for the longest, but he left and to go do like content creation full time.
Yeah.
And he would stream, and like every morning from like 6 to like 9 a.m. he would stream, and then 9 a.m. to like 5 he would work on Netflix, and then 5 to like 8 he would stream again, right? And
Interesting.
he was so popular, and like every single time a lot of what he spoke about was just his work at Netflix, because that's what
Yeah.
people wanted to hear, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, again, it's just all about finding that balance. Earlier I didn't have the balance. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
mostly talking about the technical stuff because that's what lights my that's literally what makes, that's when I feel alive.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you basically have to balance it.
Yeah, like a couple more questions before we close this up. Like more like, um, do you see yourself doing content for like full time? You mentioned someone that does it full
Yeah.
time. Do you see yourself doing content full time and not like doing software engineering?
As of right now, at this stage in my life, I don't. Not because of the money. A lot of people say it because they don't pay. You can make way more money being a creator than you
Yeah,
will as a software engineer, even at Netflix, to be honest.
yeah,
But I think what makes my soul happy is the problems that I'm solving at work.
I see.
On the other side of that is the problems that I'm solving at work. The code I'm writing informs the content that I make. It's basically where I get my ideas from, right?
Yeah,
A lot of it is conversations that I had regarding, give you an example. I was talking with one of the principals about the
yeah.
new servers we were building, and we're talking about the data the data consistency level
Okay.
for the database that we build, right?
Yeah, yeah,
There's eventual consistency where if you have it distributed across multiple nodes,
yeah, yeah.
it may like
At some
it,
point in time, it might not be the same
exactly.
across all the
Yeah,
clusters, but it
exactly.
later matches up. Yeah,
Exactly. And then there's strong consistency, or there's read your rights consistent. There's all of that. And then we're kind of like just figuring out which one we're going to use. That's content.
yeah. That's
You know
content.
what?
Yeah,
That's literally
yeah,
content. And so that then informed me to make a video about the cap theorem, which I've basically shot, and like my video editors like, so
oh,
it's like
nice.
it's those experiences that inform the videos that I make. And
Yeah,
I have heard from other creators who make similar videos that I do who are full time, that in some ways they kind of feel like they're cheats because they're not working in it. And so the videos that they make are mostly, they're not kind of like informed based on their experiences. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
what will blow up, right? What do
yeah,
people want to hear about now? And that's not what I want to do. I don't
yeah,
want to chase the latest thing that's happening. And so
yeah,
right now I think there will still always be some sort of software development in my life. It may not be at Netflix, it may be my own stuff, but um for me it's really important that I'm doing the work, because that's what gets me excited and
yeah.
what
I mean,
then informs the content.
yeah, I tell people that like I still love to write code, and I
Mhm.
don't see myself not writing code anytime soon. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing that you that I mean, I feel like I'm going to feel like a fraud if I'm talking about something that I'm not working on. And I'm like, I'm still very early-ish in my career that I still have a lot of things to learn.
Yeah,
And if I'm going
exactly.
to be able to give back, I need to keep learning to be able to give back, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I mean, it's easier. I have a bunch of books. It's easier to read books, but like, it's easier to
It's
talk
really
about
different
things like, yeah,
when you're in it, right?
yeah,
When
when
you're
you,
like when you have real world use case examples,
yeah, yeah,
right? Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot
yeah,
simpler. Yeah.
yeah. Last question though. It feels like you do a bunch of things. How do you manage all of that together?
Structure and routines.
Okay, tell me about your structure and your
Structure and
routine.
routines. I love lifting. I love being active, and so
Okay,
the most important part of my day is waking up first thing and going to the gym. Right. So I typically
interesting.
wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
5:15, 5:30. I'm at the gym. I work out, and then after that, come back, do some Uber stuff, and then after that, go to work at Netflix. Do what I do at Netflix. Then do my stuff. Basically, I try to make sure I always get at least 8 hours of sleep, which means I
Okay.
go to bed at 8:30, which is super weird.
Interesting.
If you go to
Eight,
bed at eight,
that is sick.
super early. Now, if you do that, it doesn't leave you a lot of time to do other things, right? Um, I make sure I shoot my 2 short form videos, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 2 on one YouTube video every Friday. So
Interesting.
throughout the week, I would either write and then Friday I would shoot. Um, I have like certain workouts that I do. I run on Wednesdays. It's like I just have things that have to
Yeah,
happen at specific times, and I know
I see.
if they don't, it just throws everything off.
I see.
And because of that, I try not to do or commit to too much outside what I currently do because I know that in order to go where I want to go, I have to keep
Say
doing what
no
I'm
to things.
exactly right. Like it's like the hell yes or no, right? Either it's
Yeah,
like oh absolutely hell yeah or like otherwise no. So obviously, I make time for things that are important or things that I want to do, if that
yeah.
makes
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That
So
that makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing anyways. Yeah. Last question B. It's against square like it's just
No
five
worries.
questions, but it's like five A B C D E F.
Yeah.
So
Thank you
last
very
question,
much.
like, is
Yeah.
there something that you want to talk about that we did not talk about in our like almost 1 hour of talking?
Nothing specifically. I think you did a great job covering everything. I would
Okay.
just add that I think there's a certain stigma that comes with being obsessed with what you do
Mm,
and how people may be seeing it, how certain people may see it as bad because it's
okay.
like you're obsessed with it. But I think if you're not, my personal point of view at least, if you're not obsessed with it, then there's no point in doing it. Right?
I see.
And
Yeah.
so, for anyone who's watching, it doesn't have to be tech. For me, it's tech and the videos and writing code and building software. But you could be whatever. But it doesn't. You really can't get the most out of it if you don't put 110% into it, right? And so, whatever it is for you, whatever it is that you want to get better at, right? You have to kind of like go all in. Otherwise, you'll be in a position where you would have regretted that, like you basically have it in your mind that you could have done more, but you didn't. And so, yeah, that's just something I wanted to point out because a lot of times people see me and they're like, oh, yeah, you're going to 100. And it's like, I'm alive, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
what I want to do. I
Yeah.
found my call. Like, this is why God put me on this earth.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I'm going at 110% at it because why not?
Yeah. And I think it's also like enjoying the process,
Absolutely.
like making sure, like let's say I was just listening to something earlier today, which is like letting the process be the destination, right? Not like
Literally.
there is one destination. I mean,
Yeah.
actually, it was like a couple of minutes ago, like letting the process be in the destination. That way, you're not like if you're doing something and you're like, yeah, I want to do this and I'm enjoying this, but like, I
Yes.
mean, might change in 10 years, but like
Yeah.
right now,
Like right
I'm
now. Yeah.
enjoying this, right? And I think that makes it. But yeah,
A
thank you
thousand
very
percent.
much for taking the time to talk with me. And I really enjoyed this conversation. It was smooth,
Hmm.
I think. And I hope you enjoyed it too.
Absolutely did. Thank you.
Yeah. All
Thanks
right.
for
Thank you
having
very
me as
much.
well.
And
All
yeah,
right.
bye.